What is static keyword? If you define anything as static, then it means it is shared among all the objects of the class. That is class level. It means it is common for all the objects. Example, if you take company name, this company name is common for all the employees. So it can be made as static. Similarly, CEO of the company, college name. The main usage of the static keyword is we no need to create objects to access these members. Now let's see where we can apply this. It can be applied to variables, methods, blocks and nested classes. Why it is required means to improve memory. So memory management is the advantage. What is static variable? If static keyword is added before any variable, then it is static variable. Example, static int a equal to 5. It is also known as class level variable since it is shared among all the objects. Now let's see the difference between static variable and instance variable. Static variable, it is class level, that is it is common for all the objects, whereas instance variable will be varying from object to object. So it is object level. Example for static variable is company name since it is common for all the employees, whereas instance variable example is employee ID. This employee ID will be different for each employees. Can we change value of static variable? Yes, it can be changed, but since static variable is common for all the objects, once it is changed, it will be reflecting for all the objects. How to access static variables from another class? To access static variable, we can either use class name or by object reference. That example, test.x. Here test is the class name and x is the static variable. Similarly, test t is equal to new test t.x. Here t is the reference. When the static variable is loaded? Since static variable is class level variable, it should be loaded at the time of class loading itself. So it is created and initialized at the time of class loading and loaded into memory only once. Can we have static variables in both static and non-static methods? Yes, since it is class level and common for all the objects, we can have static variable in both static and instance methods. Can we have static local variable? That is, local variable means can we declare this static variable inside method? No, since it is class level, we cannot declare this static variable inside method. So it is not applicable. What if static variable is not initialized? If it is not initialized, it will be initialized with the default values by default constructor. That is, for int it will be assigned 0. Similarly for string it will be null. Like that, default values will get assigned to this static variable. How to create constant values in Java? To create constant value, we can use public static final and then variable name equal to value. That is, public means it is access modifier. It can be accessible by any class. Then static means here we are making this variable as class level. Then final, that means value cannot be changed once assigned, and so it can be constant. So far we have seen questions related to static variable. Now let's see what is static method. If we declare any method as static, then it is static method. Best example is main method. Public static void main string args. Why it is used means mainly to create utility methods. That is, if you want to perform some mathematical calculations like finding average marks of a student, we can make that as static method. And so without creating object itself, we can access that method. Why is main method static in Java? Since main method is the starting point for any program execution in Java, it should be accessible without creating object. So as JVM needs to invoke it without creating object, since it is a starting point for program execution. What if static keyword is removed from main method? If you remove that, it will compile fine, but during execution it will throw no such method error, since JVM will search for this main method. How to access static methods from another class? It is similar to static variable only. Here also we can access either by class name or by object reference. Can we have static members in static method? Yes, since static members are class level, it is allowed in static method. Can we have instance methods or variables in static method? This instance methods or variables means it will be changing from object to object, whereas this static method is common for all the objects. So we cannot have this instance methods or variables in static methods, but there is a way to access them. So not directly. Object should be created for this instance members in static method, and by using this object reference only it can be called. Example, we can take on class called test. In that, int a equal to 5, this is instance variable, and we have our main method which is static method. So inside that we can create object for this test class, and then by using this object reference, that is t, we can call this instance variable a. So t dot a, if we call, we can access this instance variable in static method. Can we use this and super keyword in static method? First let's see what is this and super keyword. This means it is reference to current object, whereas super means it is reference to parent class object. So since both of them belongs to instance of the class that is non-static, they cannot be used in static method. Can we have the below two methods in same class? Public static void m1 of int I, public void m1 of int I. If we remove the static keyword from a method, whether we can use them in same class, that is the question. No, code ambiguity will occur, as removing static keyword alone will not make it as different method. So same method cannot be used in one class. Can static methods be overloaded? What is method overloading? It is creating another method with same method name but different arguments. So yes, the static method can be overloaded. Can static methods be overridden? That is having same method name and same arguments. So it is applicable for parent-child relationship. No, this static method we cannot override. So since static method belongs to class and it is resolved at compile time using the type of reference variable, whereas method overriding occurs at runtime. That is, if parent class reference we are using to access the method means, then it will call parent class method only. So only method hiding is possible. Example, parent p is equal to new child p dot test. Here assume test is the static method. So when we are trying to access this, it will call parent class method. To access child class method, we need to use child class reference only. That is, child c is equal to new child c dot test. So what are the key points means? Static variables, it is accessible in both static and instance methods. Instance variables, it is accessible only in instance method. In static method, it should be accessible by using object reference only. Static local variable, if we try to use, it is not valid. Static methods cannot have this and super keywords. Static methods cannot be overridden. What is static block? If a block is declared with a static keyword, then it is static block in Java. Syntax for that is static open braces close braces. So inside that we can write any statements or do some logic inside that. This block is executed only once by JVM when the class is loaded into memory by Java class loader. So only once it will get loaded. And why it is used means to write logic that should be executed during class loading itself. And one more thing, it is mostly used for initializing or changing values for static variables. Now we may get doubt, already static method is there, then why this static block is necessary? So now let's see what is the difference between them. Static block means it will be executed when class is loaded by JVM itself, whereas static method we should call that explicitly. And static block means it is mainly used to initialize or change the static variables, whereas static method it is for utility purpose. And we can call the static method from static block, but we cannot call static block. We have multiple static blocks in a class? Yes, we can have multiple static blocks. Okay, if so, what is the order of execution if multiple static blocks are there? It will be executed from top to bottom, that is whatever order we have written in the code. Can we have non-static members in static block? No, only it can have static members as it is executed during class loading. Which is called first, main method or static block? Static block, because it is getting loaded at the time of class loading itself. Then only this main method is called. Can we print statement to console without main method? Yes, we can do that with the help of static block, but till Java 1. We can do that. After that it is impossible. Can constructor be static? While creating objects, this constructor is used to perform initialization of that objects. So no, it cannot be static. Which is executed first, constructor or static block? Always static block will be executing first. After that only this constructor will be executing. So constructor will be loaded only at the time of object instantiation. Can class be static? No, top level class is already common to all the objects, so it cannot be static because that is the purpose of static. But we can have the nested class is static. This is nothing but a class created inside the class and it is object level.